Okay, I'm gonna ask a question now. Yanina Jackson Brown. And Heller's dissent, the argument to individual freedom as militia was the right to bear arms. It does not indicate if the bear arms is a shotgun, a buckshot, a semi-auto, or a handgun. An application or due process of understanding quadratic game symmetry. Game symmetry can be augmented as the same way as saying fire, citizenship in Belvins v. the U.S., and exploratory views of electric to water, and Trump v. the Water Resource Board, and model assessment, where I'm asking it in the view of Heller v. the United States and view of Miller v. the United States, is Heller says an indemnity joint authority. Now, if under the same indemnity of the joint authority, that of the United States has, under the CARES Act, the ability to give citizenship for a voluntary militia, and the view of the right of my firearm. My firearm is that of a single buckshot. My buckshot is that of citizenship, a single slug. Instead of my automatic, which would be the view to the unions, or my pebble shot or and model, or my or an application, that would be individual areas compared to ice. And COVID models, wouldn't we have that as legal right under martial law, based on executive order 12612, 12608, 13628, and 106838 under SB 901. Now, where I have my questions under the Brown Act and the Hatch Act in view of this same model, and I asked Judge Stevens this right before I left Napa to sit in the court to how we see hello. You're going to make an interesting case to Heller. In view of understanding Cuba as international waters, the Admiral Krushkov, 12.78 kilotons of plutonium by the thing, 279 ships, destroyer class at Venezuela, and then shipping grid, why stratosphere bombers hit Alaska, and there are subs outside Washington, D.C. that are Russian. Now, in the CSA RPK Voyaga, RPK VOYEGA, Bullpup class, or the Nike Zeus project, please Google Red Snow Project, and show missile development in view of the what is known as the Honest John's ability to hold plutonium or uranium and enrichment. If I am a nuclear physicist with the capability, instead of owning my firearm, having a patent for a nuclear bomb, I, in my home, instead of, say, I'm growing meth, or instead of, more importantly, I'm just mixing oils together to see if I can make fire starter fluid. What happens if I'm saying I'm researching automotive parts, or aero electrical, or aeronuclear parts and application? Is my due process efficiency the same as saying I have fire in a crowded space? If I have a patent for a Mach 16 intercontinental ICPM with a DF-17 as a project, with a wonderment of rubidium, helium, hemoglobin, hassium, iodine, darcidium, pentin, triethyltrillium, tenzine, histidine, ihomium, pentahexaselenium, pentariodine, hassium, arsenical, ammonium, cyanide, pentin, triethylhexaurite, urapentahexaboramine, carbon osamononite, application to show ammonia cyanide in 72 to 96 hours, or inorganic approach of the AIDS particle based on viral epidemiology. Would I be able to show that in SARS research compared to what I would call my Mesa v. Arizona? If my same question is in my Fifth Amendment to my due process, we the people, is that we the people, we as a country, a state, a joint authority, Puerto Rico, Sonoma Island, Guam, same thing as 2826. In the view of statehood compared to countryhood, asked during the Mexico election, asked at Washington, D.C., Michigan's Upper Michigan compared to Lower Michigan being rebranded. The islands off of Alaska compared to Puerto Rico, would that justify the ability to apply statehood after the NAFTA agreement? If this same model is wondered then to Space Command, you are showing a direct questions then to United Nations Charter Law, Civil Code 3, Civil Code 7, Civil Code 9, Civil Code 13, and Civil Code 17 with 109.17 of the bylaw agreement in violation. This would be the same way as calling after Belarus, calling someone an invasion model, which would be a violation of the False Claims Act. If you can show that the vice president never made a phone call asking lighting Moscow or any other place, never congratulating pre and post it, never asking a follow-up, turning on any phone calls, emailing it, and a gross negligence application, wouldn't you be technically showing direct and strict negligence on behalf of your fiduciary responsibility in the view of 50 U.S.C. 290163 or the Civil Code of Procedure based on negligence? This negligence in the view of flooding under 7.8 of the CFR would be intensification of COVID, intensification of fires, intensification of hurricanes, of tornadoes, intensification of viral meningitis, which is what COVID is. This wouldn't be that application in the view. Now, if cesium, osmium, vanadium, iodine, daracidium, selenium, pentyl-triethyltrilithium, europentahexaceboromine, neptunium, pentahexacerubidium, triethyltrilithium, europentahexaceroidine, lanthanum, pentahexacemononite, sodium, pentahexaceryodine, the galladium, pentahexaxanthine, mimics ductwork in the body, or what you would call fiber wonderments based in the chinella, in view of the bubonic plague to the Pagidus, Ligidius, Insidious, and Critius virus, using Ebola to Zika. Now, the Insidious virus in Lyme disease kills 1 in 3 human contacts. A mutation in that in Zika to Ebola, based on avian models, means a 2 out of 3 assessment to the bubonic plague. Now, if you can standardize that in weapons compared to how you see developmental approach, is that not like asking what COVID-AIDS patients or the bubonic plague, the 28 human samples, 9 subspecies that are in China by the previous president, never to the Chinese authority, as a failure as commander-in-chief? To have the vice president never ask any of the foreign powers, is that wouldn't be gross and strict negligence. Now, even at present, we still haven't had that conversation yet about bubonic plague samples that are already human in view of bioterrorism research. Now, if the same model is wondered to Nikita Khrushchev's son, and you show the coefficient how to make a more efficient biochemical weapon, hi, I did that. Kanita, you have the paperwork. It will be sent to you. With the patent validity, 175826, you'll have the patent document, and it'll say a different generation. Show the Boeing issue and why the plane that was shot down with the MAX. Show we're at present justice. If we are wondering that in the Vulcan class the same way as saying I have a slug, I have a heat scan, I have a drug, I as a man have a okay. In our weapon, okay, if we are asking this in transfetal models, that is the state. In Walker, you indicate that you can go a certain amount of distance. Is that certain amount of distance asking you prime ministers if they were invaded? Is that certain distance asking the area of Tijuana that it can be a country or a state, asking the Washington what they're doing with Admiral Kreshkov violating UN water agreements with more plutonium than they should. Is they're asking that we're going to have a 58 by 79 or a 79 foot by 58 foot wave on the East Coast after the Hawaii, if the Chinese don't kill 4 million and bomb one specific area to level out tectonic plate. Now, if that's known based on the Starlink and the satellite, show the Heritage Foundation, Joint Chiefs of Russia and Japan. Millie went to Britain. What would be that application of showing Chernobyl to Belarus and using the Dominic test series? Now, here is my question. We're 6 weeks past the NOAA hurricane forecast. We're supposed to be having Isaac or the equivalent of it. Why haven't they talked that we could be having 43 to 34 hurricanes, 23 to 32 Category 5, with at least 12 to 20 F6 tornadoes? Now, this is the same way. That's like saying I'm wet in the fire. I smell a wheat. I have shit on my shoes. That kind of thing. How, if you were to ask that in the Heller the same way, that'd be like showing the pictures of him hugging Adolf Hitler and Stalin. But that wouldn't be important enough in the view of the 9/11 and Ashcroft v. Iaqua, right? But that's not supposed to be asking that specific.